One of the marketing 101 rules is to do your marketing for your customers and not care about your non-customers. So don't be afraid of polarizing people. However, we see constantly that e-commerce merchants very much care about their bounce rate, and they also care about not emailing too much, not turning people off. Now, why would you care about your non-customers? This is something that very, very few people can answer, and really there hasn't been a good answer that I've come across here with this one. And many people have this obsession about bounce rate. Bounce rate is basically a metric for your non-customers. So if a person comes to your site and he bounces fast, he most likely was never going to become a customer in the first place. So you don't have to track your bounce rate so heavily, and a high bounce rate can actually even be a good thing, because a high bounce rate can mean that you are polarizing people into buyers and non-buyers. If, for example, you tell on your product page that this is perfect for X, and you have X's and Y's coming to the site, and Y's get turned off, but X's buy, you are golden. So this is by no means a problem. So let's dive into this a little bit, because this is something that will change a lot going forward. Next summer, 2023, you will have Google Analytics, Universal Analytics expiring, and you will not be able to track your store with that anymore. It will be replaced by Google Analytics 4. So there's a couple of metrics there, but before we jump into that one, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video if you haven't already, and you'll have a ton of good e-commerce material coming straight to your subscription box. Now, Google Analytics 4, basically the next version of Google Analytics that we're going to use everywhere, is abandoning the bounce rate. And they are moving from this kind of non-engagement metric to an engagement metrics. So here, you're actually now focusing on the more motivated buyers, the buyers that are actually doing something on the site, rather than the ones that leave without doing anything. So I think here, it is a very good change, because this is more event and action oriented than the previous version in the first place. But when it comes to this new way of tracking, it doesn't make sense to have these metrics that focus on what you actually don't necessarily want to. So you want to focus on your engagements. You want people to do things on the site. And this is one where focusing on bounce rate is actually in many ways a distraction. So we want to rather focus on what matters. So with Google Analytics 4, a engaged session is measured as a session that either lasts longer than 10 seconds, or contains more than one page view, or contains at least one conversion event. So if they are actively on the site, for example, scrolling, looking around for 10 seconds, but they don't view any page, then they would be considered an engaged user. In a traditional way, it would be a non-bouncer. This is different from the old Universal Analytics, where you could have a person read a long blog article for 25 minutes and still leave and would show up as a bounce. So this is a way better method of measuring this. And second criteria here, contains more than one page view. So here you have people that might very rapidly go to a page. They don't fit that 10-second mark. Go to the next page very rapidly. They don't fit that 10-second mark there either. And then they bounce. So those are also counted as non-engaged ones. So basically, it's this really, really rapid action that you don't have a real chance to make sense of the page. Second thing here is one that contains at least one conversion event. So a conversion event could be pretty much anything that you measure here. It could be something like a page depth scroll. Could be a subscription to your email newsletter. Could be an add to cart if you have configured that. So there's a lot of options for us to measure this more intelligently in the next Google Analytics 4 version instead of just the bounce rates. And one of my favorites has always been page value. So while the bounce rate can be very helpful in understanding how many people are leaving super fast, then page value is more of an accurate metric for an e-commerce store, because it measures the success from a monetary standpoint. So here, how much money are you actually generating from these pages? So we actually now have a metric that means something for the merchant's bottom line. So this is one thing where you can, in the future, instead of using bounce rate, you can just use the page value metric as a better method of measuring how well your pages are doing in general. So this will provide you with a clear overview of the success of your store by looking at the individual pages and determining simply how much they are worth. So thank you for watching that. If you would like help with your e-commerce store and you are close to 7 figures or 7 figures already, go to growboost.com. We focus on conversion and average order value optimization. So essentially making your store convert your visitors in revenue with a higher probability and consistency. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.